TNA Wrestling has just crossed that line again with Emergence, been and gone. If you missed it, you missed out. It was another high octane show full of great wrestling, which is what TNA is very, very much all about. And it was available on the TNA Plus app. Get downloaded, get it subscribed, and watch TNA weekly. Let's get into it, shall we? Emergence kicked off the pre-show with Rosemary against Indy Hartwell in a really good encounter with this one. Rosemary's like a perfect opponent for Indy Hartwell. I think as Indy starting out in TNA, we've said this before, it's kind of like that slow climb to where she wants to get to. Rosemary, very experienced in the ring, a bit of a ring veteran, really, for want of a better word. On this one, Rosemary, but yeah, really good opening encounter. There's good back and forth match. Rosemary's obviously trying to mist Indy a lot of this because she missed it on TNA Impact. Danny Luna was out as well to make sure that Rosemary didn't do that in this. And yeah, eventually it was that cost Rosemary the match. She tries to then spit the mist into Danny Luna. She misses, turns around into the Hertz Donut for the win for Indy Hartwell, which again, we predicted. It was one of those ones where it's a great momentum boost for Indy Hartwell to get up to, in my opinion, Bound for Glory, where she wins the TNA Knockouts Championship. Just my opinion, of course, but that's what I believe in this. But a really good opener on this one and a perfect opponent for Indy Hartwell on her descent towards Knockouts Championship. They had a bit of that at the back with Calihan and Moose as well. Moose really just bigging Calihan up ahead of his big match with Santana later, career on the line, of course. And just basically said how pivotal he was to the locker room and to TNA. They shared a little fist bump and embrace. And Sammy Calihan also tells Moose to win that championship, which, of course, he got the main event against Trick Williams. But before we get there, we need to get into another match, and that is the Hollywood hunk Ryan Nemeth against the hometown man, Cody Deaner. For those of you that don't know who he is, Ryan Nemeth always gets the mic, spits his rubbish that he always spits. But anyway, actually, the match kind of exceeded my expectations a little bit. I wasn't sure what we were going to get here with this. Yeah, obviously the hometown man, wherever he goes, he's the hometown man, and Ryan is he's a chicken shit hill, but he's got that little mean streakness about him as well. And they had a good match actually. This was far better than what I thought it was going to be. There were some nice little spits and pieces in this match. Good little DDT in there from Nemeth as well during this. Good TKO in there as well. There's a lot of fun bits a part of this match. And when the hometown man was in the corner, Ryan Nemeth pulls him up and rolls Nick Ryan Nemeth up for the victory. Gets the 1, 2, 3, and the hometown man can celebrate another victory. I think he's undefeated since his debut, return, whatever you want to call it. There was a local radio host there with him as well. But a really good, again, that match surprised me in a lot of ways. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. I thought it was going to be a more kind of comedy style match, but it actually wasn't. And it was really good and thoroughly enjoyable. And hometown man picks up another victory. That was the end of the pre-show. Now we get into the business end. TNA Emergence now hits, and we start off with a match that is absolutely, I think it was probably my match. It was close, but I think it was my match of the night. What a way to kick off the actual main show. Leon Slater, Cedric Alexander with an absolute X Division masterclass. It was unbelievable. Brainbusters, Germans, Leon flying around everywhere. Spanish flies. I tell you what he did do. Leon went for the Swanton 450, moved, and then Cedric moved and hit a Spanish fly. It was unbelievable. Started in the end, Slater hit Cedric with a Styles clash, and then the Swanton 450 for the win. There was a lot of near falls. It was exciting. It was everything you wanted from an X Division match. These two were, I mean, I think these two work well with anybody in there, to be honest with you. Cedric is such a great talent as well. But Leon is just unreal, and it was absolutely brilliant. It really, really was fantastic. As I said, probably my match of the night. And they gave the commentators gave them to a standing ovation at the end as they shared a hug. You know, everyone just you got excuse me for the yawn, it's early morning. You got your money's worth in that match alone. Absolutely in that match alone. You really, really did. It was unreal. And to be quite honest, anyone that was following that, the next match, which I will get into straight away, was they must have just been sitting out the back just thinking, what are we doing? What are we doing? And that match was actually Mustafa Ali versus now going by the complete Matt Cardona. This match was good, but it was just so hard to follow the match before it. And again, it was a good uh back and forth match. It was, lots of it. You could tell both of these guys had been in WWE, Cardona and Ali. You could tell lots of good counters. It's what I'd call a good pay-per-view television match between these two. It just had a lot of good stuff about it. It was just so hard to follow Slater and Alexander. But in this match itself, Ali hits a 450, but does a cocky pin. You know, when they lay back on your opponents with a pin, that allowed Cardona to roll him up with a crucifix and pick up the victory. Now, that was the surprising one for me. That was the one that caught me. I thought the win was going to be Mustafa Ali. I was wrong in this one. Matt Cardona picks up the victory and goes on and wins. I was really surprised by that. I thought all the four were going to get the victory in this. I thought Ali from all the four was going to get the victory in this, but he didn't. However, after the match, the beat down on Cardona ensured. Out come the system for there, and to save the day, they clothesline Agent Zero. You can tell TNA have got big plans for Agent Zero just because how much he's been showcased on TNA. And he landed on his feet when he got clotheslined out the ring by Myers and Edwards, which was quite funny. But that brought down First Class for their tag match against the system. The most professional wrestler, as Brian Myers is going by it now, and Eddie Edwards against AJ Francis and Rich Swann. Hell of a tag match, this. Hell of a tag match. Wasn't massively long in terms of time, but I mean, Leon went 15 minutes, so it was, it was you can understand it. And there's other matches on the card that you would have expected to go longer. So probably a perfect length tag match, to be honest with you. Again, a bit of back and forth. But they've just, when you just come in and save Cardona from Order 4, you kind of expect Order 4 to want to get that revenge. And they did. Order 4 hits a hanging tree slam onto the apron. They then send Myers back into the ring. And then Francis hits the down payment. And that is a victory for First Class. I think I put First Class down as a victory list. Did I even manage to get that one done? Because some of these matches were announced late. Excuse me. See, you can tell these things. We do one take records on Hidden Turnbuckle because you will hear that sneeze on the podcast. I don't think we got this one added to the prediction list. I think it was a match that was added quite late onto it. So I'm not gonna, when I said I would have predicted First Class to win, you can all go, well, of course you would say that. But I think First Class would have won this match anyway. And I would have predicted First Class to do so. Just because they're back into it. It's Rich Swann's back and everything around it. And yeah, still a great tag. I liked it. Perfect time to this. Yes, there's going to be, again, when I talk about interference, but like I have done previously and how it's annoying, which it is, this one was more acceptable in it. And yeah, don't mind it at all. And a victory for first class. Well, the next one is really important. This match was, career on the line. Calihan, Santana. Now, Calihan gets in the ring after both guys. Well, sorry, Calihan comes out, Santana comes out. Calihan grabs the mic and asks for this match to be a Baltimore street fight, which, of course, Santana isn't going to turn down an opportunity for a street fight, and he didn't. And you know what? These guys, oh, I mean, it was paper cuts with 8x10s. There was chairs, power drivers. This was a heavy hitting, you know. What I would say about it is like, Calihan was wrestling like it was on the line. It wasn't like, he'd given up. He was wrestling like his life depended on it. And in a lot of ways, it did. Now, I made a call on Impact this week and said Callahan's biggest mistake that he made was not trying to put out Santana. When he had an opportunity to in there, he could have turned on Santana during Impact and weakened him, and he didn't. And I said that could be a downfall for him. Well, yes, it did, and we'll get into it in a minute. There was a bit in this match though where Santana sent Calihan into the chair that had been propped up at the ring post in the rope. Sorry, it was, and then he hits a cannonball for a near fall, rolling buck 50. Calihan was going to hit a discus lariat. Santana gave him a discus lariat after a thumbs up. Now, when he goes to spin the block, sorry, not a discus lariat, that is his finisher, spin the block. Calihan gets his shoulder up before three. Joe Hendry's on commentary, by the way, for this match. Calihan does get his shoulder up before the three, but the referee counted the pinfall on Calihan. Mike Santana picks up the victory. He looks really frustrated at this point, to be honest with you. He tells Calihan to get up. They did. They fist bump. Santana leaves the ring. Calihan is at the center of the ring, emotional as the crowd are chanting, "Thank you, Sammy." And Joe leaves the commentary box at this point. I'll tell you what my thought was in a minute. I'll give you it in a second, because they go to the back where Calihan is coming through the curtain with Joe Hendry. The locker room was giving him a standing ovation. He hugs Wentz. He hugs Edwards. He hugs Eric Young. And Eric Young was like, and then Joe Hendry getting in the face of Eric Young and said the whole thing started because of you. And then Young leaves. And then Joe Hendry embraces Calihan. Now, I thought at this point, because Joe Hendry was on commentary and I wasn't sure why he was on commentary, and then he left, I thought that Calihan was going to attack Joe Hendry. And this was all a ruse. That's what I thought. It wasn't the case. Calihan walks away on this, and yeah, that was it. And Calihan's done. And if it is done, and if that is, if this is the true part, I'm not saying Calihan isn't going to retire, but if it is, Sammy Calihan, you've been an absolute legend, and you've done so much business. You've got a great business mind. I hope that you're still a part of TNA in some way, because you are a hell of an athlete and you are a hell of a professional wrestler. So thank you. If that is it, thank you. And we hope that you're still a part of TNA at some point. The Ryan Nemeth was at the back just quickly before we start the next one, which is the women's match. And he says that the Nemeth brothers still have a rematch clause against the Hardys to come. We'll see. Slamovich made her way to ringside. So this was the Knockouts tag match. Now, she was going to be in the corner of Xia Brookside and Lei Ying Lee. Now, before they started this, Tommy Dreamer's in the ring, TNA president Carlos Silver's in the ring, and the Jazz is in the ring. And as Lei Ying Lee comes out, they come out and signed her to a new contract. I didn't know that her contract was up. But if now they've signed her to a new one, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm really happy for that. Jazz is in there. Carla Silva gives her a hug. Jazz hugs her as well. Brookside, her tag team partner, hugs her as well. And Slamovich also gets in on the hugging, a bit like Bailey. Myra Slade comes out, the former Jakara Jackson, and she's going to be in the corner of the inspiration for this match. And of course, the Elegance brand come out as well. And of course, Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley, a fatal influence. And they started going at it. Remember what we said on the Impact when Santino gave them 5 seconds before security? Well, they finished where they left off. Sorry, they finished where they left. They started where they left off. Sorry, last week, yesterday on Impact with a bit of a brawl to start, which I did like that. I indeed loved that. There was a bit where JC Jane put Henley's foot on the ropes to save a pinfall for them. Jane and Myra Slade got into a fight. They should be used to that on NXT. Back then, Slamovich and Ash should get involved as well. This match is just chaotic, absolutely chaotic in this. It ended up with the ref ejecting JC Jane, Ash, and Myra Slade from ringside. And then Zaya Brookside and Lady Lee hit some dives onto the floor with them in there. Cassie Lee hits M by Elegance with his kick. McKay hits a flying cross body. Lee superplexes M by Elegance. All women are laid out. And then M by Elegance hits Cassie Lee with the Knockouts World Championship, Knockouts World Tag Team Championship, to obtain the pinfall. It was fun. It was chaos. It was everything like that. And I enjoyed that because I think this match needed to be a bit chaotic, and it was. And the Elegance brand retained the championship. I think I put that on there. Did I on the predictions? Yeah, I think I did actually. Yeah, I did. So I was right. But yeah, the Elegance brand retained in a chaotic style, which was great. Just what the match needed. And to be honest, after Calihan and that as well, you kind of needed to do that after that, what had happened in that match. So kudos to those knockouts. Knockouts division is strong. Speaking of knockouts, Danny Luna and Indy Hartwell were backstage. Danny Luna was saying what a great team that they make. And they said, and Indy Hartwell agreed, but she wants the Knockouts Championship, which is exactly what I was saying. Bound for Glory time. You know, that's the descent that she's on. So there we go. We'll see if it happens. We look forward to watching it. I'm sure that Indy Hartwell will be in that mold for the Knockouts Championship. Then we've had street fight, we've had a chaotic knockouts match. Then we move to a no count out, no disqualification, basically fight between Something and Macklin for the International Championship. Kazarian's out there as always. You know what he's like. But this was an absolute brawl between these two. I really enjoyed it. It was actually quite quick pace as well for for these two. And Macklin was diving around up the entranceway, and it was just a hard hitting encounter between these two, which you were getting. You knew you were going to get that between these two, but they really did go at it, and I really enjoyed watching this match. One of my Bar in Leon and that one of my favorites of the night, and it did take Macklin 3 spears and then the KIA finish to retain. But I really did love it. I thought it was, you know, a really good hard hitting match. But it does seem as though Kazarian is after that championship now. They had a little bit of a to do afterwards. Did Something and did Macklin and Kaz. Macklin challenged him and Kazarian walks away. So I don't think that's finished yet. I think we're just starting with Kazarian and Macklin. And perhaps Kazarian's the one that will find a way to beat Bulletproof Steve Macklin. We'll see. But what a brawl that was. And then after that, just when you think, how can you get any better? It's the Hardys. It's the Rascals for the Myron Reed, obviously deputizing for Trey Miguel for the tag team championship. This was fun. This was, again, the Hardys just seemed to be just as good as they were years and years ago. It was great. I loved this match. It was the Hardys doing the Hardy stuff. The Rascals always exciting and unpredictable, and you never know what you're going to get with these guys. And I really, really enjoyed it. They were great. I mean, I think the Rascals, Miguel and Wentz, were the Hardys' first opponents when they won the titles the first time. So to have the Rascals again was cool. What I would say about the TNA tag team division is I think we said this about the knockouts teams and we got a few new ones on board. I think perhaps the TNA tag championships need a little refresh in terms of people because it seems to be the same teams over and over again. Which, listen, I could watch these two all day, no problem. But bit of injection of new talent in that department wouldn't go amiss, in my opinion. Just to spice things up a little bit. But this match was great. It was still really, really great. And finally, the twist of fate, Swanton Bomb from Jeff Hardy. Hardy's retain. I don't think that was ever in doubt, if I'm being honest with you. But still, nevertheless, really, really great match. And yeah, loved it. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. First class done a little impromptu penthouse thing. Nothing much really happened on it, to be honest with you. I don't really. Some guy called Poe or POE was there. The system come out, and you know what. But it led into the TNA World Championship match. Trick Williams and Moose. Oh, you know, Moose always just like every time I see this guy, I sit there and go, "How does he do that? How is he doing this? How is he doing what he's doing?" Because he's got everything in his arsenal. He is ridiculously good. And I don't understand it. I just sit there sometimes and he amazes me every time I watch him. And there's so many people that go out there, and I say this so many times, oh, he's one dimensional. He's six dimensional. He can do anything in there. Trick Williams is great as well. And this run, I think Trick's having in TNA is really, really showing how good he is, as well as he's on TNA, he's on NXT, of course. Really, really good for me. This run's going to do him the world of good. Put him in the ring with Moose, done in the world of good. This was a great, great match, and there was through got right for a table in this match as well, and there was a lot in it. There was a lot in this match, to be honest with you. I didn't, again, expectations, they exceeded it, and I shouldn't have ever thought like anything other than that, because they would have done. But the trick shot to the back of the head and a one to the side of the head, and Williams picks up the victory. No interference in this one, and I thought perhaps First Class was going to come out of this. I thought, you know, we were going to get a couple of bits of interferences. None at all in this, which was great. And I think because you need that sometimes, right? You do really need that sometimes in these matches. So kudos to those two guys. And again, you never ever feel like you're going to be missing it. So Moose never ceases to amaze me in there. Fantastic guy. Love it, love it, love it. Love the match. Really, really good match. Enjoyed it. And more to come, please, TNA. But there is more to come, because we're on the road to Bound for Glory, and that will go through Victory Road, I believe, which will be the next one on the list. Before we get to Bound for Glory, we'll hit Victory Road, and you can watch all the action live on TNA Plus. Get the app downloaded, get subscribed. If you want everything, get that one-off payment for the one-off payment for TNA for the year. If you want to do things separately, you can just get the standard package, and then you can buy the pay-per-views as and when you choose. We'll be back tomorrow on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with our weekly roundup of wrestling. Lots of interviews coming again next week, guys. Exodus Pro are still taking over the world. They're taking over us. Got some YouTubers coming on as well. Looking forward to that. There is a lot of stuff coming on the channel, so do not miss out. But thank you for joining me early this morning. If you haven't watched Emergence, go and watch it and back up everything I've just said. But until tomorrow, everybody, this has been Adam Cousins on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Cross the line. Stay safe. Goodbye.